If I'm being completely honest, Outdoor Vitals was a gear company that was good, but not necessarily great in my opinion. However, recently that all has changed for me. After I've had a chance to use and test their redesigned gear, it's certainly worth making a video about now. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dan Becker. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you guys being here. So let's just get right into it. Should you be buying gear from Outdoor Vitals? I'll just tell you early on, the answer is yes. Obviously, I wouldn't be making an entire video about Outdoor Vitals if I didn't think that. Oh, and also this video is not sponsored by Outdoor Vitals. So please do not think for 1 second that I'm getting any money from Outdoor Vitals. I am not. I'm making this video because, well, I just feel like making another video today. I had nothing better to do. So Outdoor Vitals reached out to me several years ago, and by several, I mean like 2.5 years ago, and asked me to review some products for them. They sent me a ton of products, and I really didn't use a ton of it after that, and I really didn't talk about it a ton about it after that because honestly, it was okay gear back then, but it wasn't my favorite. And they have done some things recently that have made the company stand out to me in several ways. Like, they hired a guy who is a designer of their products. His name is Brigham, super cool dude. And the guy designs the most amazing stuff. That was one of the best hires they ever could have made, in my opinion. And he has created and changed their gear to where I believe it is now meets the Dan Becker's standard of backpacking gear, to the point where I would be completely comfortable in comparing to this to some of the best gear that's out there. So we're gonna cram in a ton of gear in this video. Well, when I say a ton, like maybe 4 pieces of gear of my favorite gear from them, and why I think if you're considering any of this stuff as new gear for your backpacking gear, you should definitely have this on your list. So probably the most commented or asked about product from them on my channel has been the Shadowlight Backpack. I'm gonna tell you some things I love about this backpack, and I'm gonna tell you some things I don't love about this backpack. Okay, out the gate, I'm just gonna tell you a couple things that I really don't like about this backpack, and by a couple I mean like things that I actually had to really think about. It has these pockets that are up higher, which are helpful for some people, and I know that the reason that they put these pockets on here was because they're trying to give you as much versatility out of this backpack as possible while still keeping it ultralight. So sort of that middle of the road, or the person that likes to have just a lot of bells and whistles on a backpack, but then also the person that wants to have that sort of minimalist backpack as well. But these pockets, in my opinion, kind of get in the way a little bit of things that I'm gonna put in these these lower water bottle pockets. While I can fit a full smart water bottle in this pocket, I can't necessarily fit my, let's say, trekking poles in this pocket, or my tent poles in this pocket. And yes, they do have areas around the other part of the backpack that you can attach trekking poles, but I personally like to have them in here. So personal preference, that's really one thing that I don't like. The other thing that I don't like about the backpack, this mesh pouch is divided into 2 sections, and that does offer some flexibility that you can divide up different things. Makes it a little bit more difficult to get as much stuff in the back of the backpack as in the past with other backpacks. So that's not the end of the world, because this stretchy part is extremely stretchy. Like, you can cram a ton of gear in here. I mean, it literally just like, it's endless how much you can fit in each one. But the reason that it's divided in half is because of something that I absolutely love about this backpack, is that it has a center zip that goes completely down the middle that you can open up to get into it without having to open up the top of your backpack. And then as far as like materials and what this backpack is made out of, I am not gonna get into all that. I will put specs up on the screen for you so you can read through it yourself, and then you can kind of see what the backpack is made out of. I also love that the hip belt pockets are actually attached to the backpack. They're not like ones that are put on after the fact, so you can open these up with one hand. And I also do like the fact that they have a sit pad in the back here, which is really nice. So you don't have to bring a chair if you don't want to, although I will still bring a chair. You can't stop me. And it does really kind of feel nice on your back as well, so that's pretty nice. Oh, and then probably my favorite thing about this backpack is that it's able to carry a ton of weight and do it very comfortably. On the inside, this internal frame is actually up higher than you would normally see on other backpacks, and that's so that these load lifters can really pull that weight up towards your back, and you can actually put more weight in this backpack than you could a frame that's actually lower. Very, very well thought out, very well designed backpack. Not waterproof, you're still gonna need a pack liner for it, but for sure. And this thing is actually really priced well. It's at like, I wanna say it's 200 bucks. If I'm wrong, I'll put it up on the screen. But that would put it, in my opinion, in the budget price range of backpacks. So if you're looking for an inexpensive backpack that is awesome, highly recommend this backpack. It is very comfortable. I've never had an uncomfortable time with this backpack at all. So super cool backpack. The next item up on the list, this is brand new to the market of Outdoor Vitals. It is the Nova Pro jacket. We're gonna actually talk about this in conjunction with this as well. This is the Ventus hoodie. I'm gonna recommend both of these for sure. This is probably my favorite piece of gear of all time by them, the Ventus hoodie. This thing is fantastic. This is very, very well-made jacket. It's got some really cool features. Is it a jacket I'm gonna take with me every time? Not every time. I like other jackets for other situations because they're lighter weight than this. This is a little bit heavier of a jacket, but the performance that you're getting out of this jacket does mean that it is gonna be a little bit heavier. It's just the nature of the beast. Let me show you really quickly. So the pattern on this jacket, like this quilted pattern here, reminds me a lot of this jacket here. This is my Patagonia Micro Puff, I think it's called. If it's wrong, I'll put it up on the screen. But it really has a very similar sort of quilted pattern. I don't know if you can you see that? This here, sort of real similar sort of style, but there's a huge difference, huge difference. So you're gonna, first of all, you're gonna spend $100 more for the Patagonia jacket, right? And when you look at this Patagonia jacket, this is actually sewn all the way through. So when you hold this up to the light, you can actually see the light coming through the stitching. But the Nova Pro, it's got something super unique to it, to where these baffles don't have any stitching at all. Like, can you see that? Can you see there's no stitching there. Like legit, no stitching at all. It's actually the fabric on the inside that is woven through, as Tayson so eloquently showed me on our trip together, that is pulling this together. Now, why is that important? Well, that means that there's actually loft between the fabric and the outside and inside of the jacket where there is these baffles sewn together. So there's still gonna be insulation there. And it also means that you're not gonna have a ton of wind going through there. And it also means that you're not gonna get a lot of rain going in there or water being able to soak in there. Out here's a prime example of what this baffling system can do. It's actually a wind advisory here in Wisconsin. And they're stating that the wind will not penetrate through this jacket. It acts more like a windbreaker, which I don't know. I can not really tell the difference right now just because I am wearing their Ventus hoodie underneath it. But I gotta believe that if there aren't holes poking through the stitching, that it's probably slowing down the wind as well. The other cool thing about this jacket, which does make it a little bit heavier, is that it's got a synthetic blend with the down. Now there's a limited synthetic, it's mainly down. Again, I'll put these stats up on the screen, but that just means that the jacket's gonna be a little bit lighter for that reason, but it does help in benefiting it with, according to them, or 70% loft versus 50% loft if it does get wet with down. So I'm not really sure the science on that. I don't claim to be a science expert on that at all. I just know that this jacket kept me super warm on the trips that I've had it on. So I've had it on 2 trips and they were both in first trip was in low 30s. The second trip was very cold. It was in the low 20s, and love this jacket. Oh, also, it's got pit zips. Pit zips on a down jacket. I don't know, my first down jacket with pit zips. So great jacket. The other one I would highly recommend is the Ventus. If you had one piece of gear out of everything to buy this year for like Christmas, it is certainly the Ventus hoodie. Synthetic, weighs about 7 ounces, extremely packable, and about as warm as it gets. I would buy this over like a puffy jacket for like 2 season, you know, like late spring, early summer, that kind of stuff. This could easily replace a puffy jacket in sort of warmer temperatures. But if you want to stay super warm, even into below freezing, low 20s weather without having to worry about it at all. So in other words, not having to buy that super big puffy jacket if you don't want to. You could get the Ventus hoodie and you could combine it with the Nova Pro and certainly be very warm. I was warm in that, but I also did have a base layer on, a couple base layers on. I had a t-shirt on and then like a zip up hoodie thing. That's what I had. Anyway, super warm, highly recommend these as well. What I want to show you is a piece of gear that they actually originally gave me like 2.5 years ago, and I used it and then literally gave it to somebody. Gave it to a good friend of mine who still uses it to this day, I think. I had another piece of gear that I liked a lot better at the time. I've used this now on 2 backpacking trips, and I was so impressed with it. Certainly going to be using this even in winter below freezing conditions, which I never thought I would say. It is the Outdoor Vitals, their updated, redesigned quilt. And this is the 15-degree quilt. Now, I took this, actually the first time I used this was when I was with them in Utah, and the temperatures got to about 30 degrees, maybe 29 degrees. Was totally warm in this, had no problems whatsoever. And then the second time I used this was just recently in Yosemite National Park, where it got much colder. It got near 20 degrees, and this is a 15-degree quilt. Now, I was super nervous about that at first. So I actually called Tayson up, and I said, hey, Tayson, he's the owner of Outdoor Vitals. I said, hey, you gotta be honest with me, man. I'm going out with my kid. He may be sleeping in this. I wanna know, it could be getting into the teens. What would you recommend as far as the temperature rating for this 15-degree rated quilt? And he said, Dan, I would totally be comfortable using it at 15 degrees. And I'm thinking to myself, here's the owner of the company telling me this on the phone, essentially to my face, telling me when I'm using it with my own kids. Okay, fine, I'm gonna take you at face value, I'm gonna try it out. At about 20, 22 degrees-ish that night, the first night that we were there, it got pretty cold. I was toasty warm in this. I did not have to wear a jacket inside of it. I didn't even have to wear socks. I actually took off my socks. I had bare feet, so my feet stayed warm in this. And the other amazing part about this, which was totally blown, I have nothing bad to say about this at all. Zero, like literally zero to say anything about this at all. There was nothing I didn't like. Well, I take that back. There's one thing, I'll get to it in just a second. The way that this is designed, where the outside of the quilt kind of bows out, it made it so that it wrapped underneath me with pad straps, and I actually lost their pad straps, so I had to kind of reinvent my own. I got like two. This one might be theirs. I'm not even sure. I had to go into like my bin of pad straps. And this one is a totally different company's here. But anyway, I was able to use pad straps with it, and I purposefully tried to roll over to get the sides to come up on my sleeping pad. And the pad that I was using was the Nemo Tensor insulated pad. It was the 25-inch wide pad. It's the rectangle version of it. And the sides of the quilt did not come up. That is the first time that's ever happened to me. I've spent many, many, many nights in a quilt out in the backcountry and have never had a quilt that did not pull up, even with pad straps, to where there was a gap where air came in. But here's the one thing I'm not super excited about that I kind of just wish, this is a gripe with a lot of different quilt companies, so it's not just them. I kind of wish around the head of the quilt here, or the cord that kind of tightens it up, is right in the middle. So this, if you tighten it around, it's gonna kind of be right where your face is.
Normally when you quilt, you got this snapped around your neck, and then you can pull this tab to tighten it up, nice and tight. But as you can see, it's just gonna lay in your face all night. Outdoor Vitals, quilt manufacturers, everybody, stop doing this. Put this somewhere else.
Just a minor issue with that, but other than that, man, I am confident that this will keep me as warm as some of the other sleeping bags that I've been using in the wintertime. I'm very excited about that because this is so much lighter weight. Okay, and the last piece of gear that has been super helpful to me, especially because I'm traveling so much more, backpacking, I'm taking different trips around the country. Oh, dude, I can't remember the name of this. I'll put it up on the screen. But this is their travel backpack, but it also doubles as a backpacking backpack. It's a waist belt. It doesn't have hip belt, but you can pull it out and it literally becomes a backpacking backpack. And it has, I believe, the same internal frame that their Shadowlight Backpack has. Oh no, it's a little bit different of a frame, but it does have an internal frame in it as well. So you can carry some weight on this backpack. Because it has a frame in it, it doesn't like slouch and ball into some big ball at the bottom with all your gear. It like keeps its form while you're wearing it through the airport or wherever you're traveling. And it opens up like fully, like luggage. I actually still have a pair of socks in here from my last trip. Sorry about that. But it does open up fully. It's got place for water bottle pockets, and it's so much organization, so many super, anyway, so much innovation going on there. All right, so can you get the trend here? Quality has increased over at Outdoor Vitals. Designing was obviously well thought out. They've obviously made changes and said, you know what, some things weren't working well for us. We need to reinvent some stuff. they are definitely doing it. Pushing the envelope of innovation, they are constantly designing stuff. I can truly tell you at this point, Outdoor Vitals has upped their game to the point where they are on par with some of the biggest brands out there. So I think that they're working very hard to up their game on some of their other gear as well. And man, keep them on your list. All right, I hope that helps you guys out. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, there's no more dislike button, so tough. And we will see you guys on the next one.